The recent phenomenon of critical race theory seems to have arisen primarily from the 1619 Project, published by the New York Times in 2019. Quote, Republicans often cite the 1619 Project as a cause for concern. The New York Times initiative, published in 2019, aimed to tell a fuller story of the country's history by putting slavery at the center of America's founding. Critical race theory popped into the mainstream last year when then-President Trump took aim at it in the 1619 Project during a White House event focused on the nation's history. He called both a crusade against American history and ideological poison that will destroy our country, unquote. Lately, states have been passing laws against teaching critical race theory in public schools, taking aim specifically at the 1619 Project. Quote, Since January, according to PEN, legislatures in 24 states have introduced 54 separate bills aimed at restricting teaching and training in K-12 school, higher education, and state agencies and institutions by banning various prohibited or divisive concepts, mostly relating to race, racism, gender, and American history. According to PEN, 9 bills specifically target critical race theory. 11 bills explicitly ban lessons based on the 1619 Project, an initiative by the New York Times Magazine exploring the history and continuing legacy of slavery that has been adapted into a classroom curriculum. So far, by PEN's count, 11 bills have become law in 9 states, sometimes within days of being introduced. Another 18 are pending from the 2021 legislative session, and 6 more have already been drafted for consideration in 2022, unquote. Nicole Hannah-Jones, who is a journalist for the New York Times, is the founder and main purveyor of the 1619 Project. In a since-deleted tweet on December 25, 2021, Hannah-Jones admitted she was raised as a Catholic, which is reflected in her Wikipedia biography. Hannah-Jones is a graduate of Catholic Notre Dame University. Quote, After high school, Hannah-Jones attended the University Notre Dame, where she earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in History and African American Studies in 1998, unquote. Yes, you read that correctly. This black woman was taught African American Studies, not at a historically black college, but at a Roman Catholic institution. This may seem odd, but is unsurprising when considering how the chief architect of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was Catholic priest Theodore Hesburgh, former president of Notre Dame University. Hesburgh was president of Notre Dame University for 35 years, from 1952 until 1987, during which time the African American Studies program emerged at Notre Dame. Quote, as tensions and questions about the need for and validity of Black Studies programs emerged across university campuses nationwide in the late 1960s, the university was actively creating a Black Studies program at the behest of student advocates. By the fall of 1970, Black Studies was a mainstay of the university curriculum, unquote. It is also important to note that the CEO of the New York Times, when the 1619 Project was published, was Mark Thompson, who is a Jesuit-trained elite British Catholic. In 2022, Hannah-Jones joined a delegation to the Vatican, which initiated dialogue for reparations in response to the Church's role in the slave trade. Quote, reparations for slavery was the topic of a meeting at the Vatican on Monday, July 18th, between a delegation of African American scholar activists and Bishop Paul T.K., Secretary of the Pontifical Council of Culture. The gathering followed a 5-day conference in northern Italy, headlined by delegation member and 1619 Project creator Dr. Nicole Hannah-Jones, featuring an international group operating under the auspices of the Global Circle for Reparations and Healing. The purpose of the meeting was to begin a dialogue with the Catholic Church on its role in sanctioning and benefiting from the transatlantic slave trade and its legacy, the group said in a press release following the meeting in Rome, where they delivered to the papal representative a 15-page document on strategies for healing. In his response, Bishop TK suggested that the moment is ripe for the presentment to be seriously considered by the Church under the guidance of Pope Francis, unquote. The same article makes mention of how the Jesuits of Georgetown, who represent the pinnacle of Catholic ecclesial power in America, have committed to $100 million in reparations for the university's role in slave trading and using slave labor in the 1800s. Earlier in that same year, Hannah Jones delivered Jesuit Fordham Law School's inaugural Eunice Carter Lecture. In summation, the 1619 Project, and by extension, critical race theory, are products of Catholic education and have been sanctioned, created, and promoted by Catholics, both lay and clerical.